What if I told you the reason you can't focus isn't because you're lazy? It's because your brain is constantly chasing tiny rewards. So I decided to run an experiment. For 7 days, no endless scrolling, no random YouTube binges, no checking notifications every few minutes, no mindless dopamine hits. I wanted to see what would actually happen if I stopped feeding my brain constant stimulation. Would I become more productive? Would I finally be able to focus? Or would I give up after the first day? Here's what happened. Every notification, every reel, every meme, every swipe gives your brain a tiny dopamine reward. Not a huge one, just enough to make you want another, and another, and another. Eventually, your brain starts expecting constant stimulation. That's when normal things like studying, working, reading, or exercising begin to feel painfully boring. Not because they're actually boring, but because your brain is comparing them to instant rewards. Day one was honestly much harder than I expected. Without thinking, I kept reaching for my phone. Sometimes I unlocked it and completely forgot why I picked it up. It had become automatic. Silence suddenly felt uncomfortable. Even sitting quietly for 5 minutes felt strange. I wanted music, videos, notifications, anything. That's when I realized something important. The habit wasn't actually using my phone. The habit was escaping boredom. Whenever my brain felt even slightly uncomfortable, it searched for something to distract itself. Not because it needed entertainment, but because it had forgotten how to simply be still. That realization alone changed the way I looked at my daily habits. Days 2 and 3 were a battle. My brain kept negotiating with me. Maybe just one video, maybe one quick scroll, maybe only 5 minutes. The excuses never stopped, but every single time I resisted, I noticed something interesting. The craving slowly disappeared. Not immediately, usually after 10 or 15 minutes. That's because cravings behave like waves. They rise, they peak, and then they fade away. The more I waited, the weaker they became. I didn't need more willpower. I just needed enough patience to let the urge pass. That was a lesson I had never noticed before. Days 2 and 3 were a battle. My brain kept negotiating with me. Maybe just one video, maybe one quick scroll, maybe only 5 minutes. The excuses never stopped, but every single time I resisted, I noticed something interesting. The craving slowly disappeared. Not immediately, usually after 10 or 15 minutes. That's because cravings behave like waves. They rise, they peak, and then they fade away. The more I waited, the weaker they became. I didn't need more willpower. I just needed enough patience to let the urge pass. That was a lesson I had never noticed before. By days 6 and 7, I wasn't magically transformed into some productivity machine. I still had distractions. I still had moments of weakness. But I noticed 3 huge improvements. First, I could focus for much longer. Second, I procrastinated less because starting work didn't feel nearly as painful. And third, I actually enjoyed quiet moments. The biggest surprise wasn't becoming more productive. It was realizing how much of my day had been controlled by habits I never consciously chose. Most of my actions weren't decisions. They were automatic responses to boredom. And that's a little scary when you think about it. Here's the truth. You don't need to quit dopamine. That's impossible. Dopamine isn't the enemy. It's the chemical that helps you feel motivated and excited. The real problem is constant artificial stimulation. If every free second is filled with scrolling, your brain never gets a chance to reset. Sometimes, the fastest way to improve your focus isn't another productivity hack. It's simply giving your brain a little less noise. So here's a challenge. Spend just 1 hour today without your phone. No scrolling, no notifications, no distractions. Just notice what happens. You might discover that your attention was never gone. It was simply buried under endless stimulation. If you enjoyed this video and want more psychology-backed ideas to build better focus, discipline, and freedom, subscribe to Desk to Freedom. See you in the next one.